Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to 2C TV, your global news channel. We have some breaking news coming from the Middle East over the last few hours. Israel has once again had yet another massively successful day of the counter-terrorism operation, both in Gaza and in Yemen. But it's all kicking off mostly because of the reaction that we've been getting from the proxies and everybody else. We're going to talk about all this, especially the statement we have now received from the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli government, and of course, Israel Katz himself has now issued a new warning. They are hunting down the Houthi leader. Many of the senior commanders and leadership have now been wiped out. Of course, this is the final message to also the Iranian regime saying stop sending missiles and equipment to Yemen. Otherwise, we are coming to Tehran. Now, if you're watching this live, we're going to get your reaction in the live chat. Let's start by talking about Defense Minister Israel Katz, who's now said that Abdul al-Malik al-Houthi will be hunted, and they are basically chasing him down to find him to obviously pay for the price of chaos that is created. Now, the Defense Minister Katz also issued a stern warning to the rest of the supporters of the Houthis following a massive round of IDF strikes on the Houthi-held ports in Yemen. Now, the main ports in Yemen have been almost basically destroyed. We had another two that were hit earlier. We're going to show you some videos. The problem with this is that these guys, they continue to be brave enough to actually hold public rallies, something that even Hezbollah didn't really dare to do towards the end of the life of the Hezbollah leadership. They seem to be continuing to F around to find out. Now, the Houthi ports, once again, were pounded by the Israeli Air Force. Let's go to the video we got. Now, nobody can complain about this Israeli operation because the IDF issued a warning, this time well in advance, days. I'm pretty sure the first warning actually came about 2 or 3 days ago, exactly which location, so that the civilians could evacuate. Now, if any civilians stayed there, it's up to them. But obviously the warning came to make sure that no civilian is in the area. Most of the infrastructure has once again been hit and massively destroyed. The Israeli sources also confirmed that the main two ports in Yemen were the main targets. This is obviously Hodeidah and port of Salif. And now dozens of storages and warehouses were being held at these ports. And of course, most of the equipment being transferred to these ports in Yemen have been already disrupted by the Americans and the Israelis. The Iranian regime are now struggling to actually send support to the Houthis. This is the final proxy that the Islamic Republic of Iran have, because Hamas have fallen apart. Hezbollah essentially doesn't exist anymore because they don't really have proper leadership. And Syria has been lost. Obviously, when Assad went, all the militias are gone. Now, the Hezbollah of Iraq, that's another Hezbollah, by the way, same name, sister party. Hezbollah of Iraq are still there, but nobody takes them seriously because I don't think they even have mobile phones. I'm not really sure if they know exactly what's going on. They don't even check the weather. And so the Houthis are basically the last group that, again, nobody really takes them seriously unless you are a commercial ship in the region. Then obviously they're a bunch of pirates who cause trouble all the time. Now, of course, the open source Intel has updated the graphics for us. So you can see the main leaders have now already been eliminated. We've got Hassan Nasrallah on the top right. Bottom right is Yahya Sinwar the Rat. And of course, the bottom left is Ismail Haniyeh. The only one left is Abdul Malik al-Houthi, the leader of the Houthis. He's now been hunted down by the Israelis He's got nowhere to go. It's too late for him to even leave the country, and he can't actually leave the country, mostly because the Houthi as a group, they are even more tribal than Hezbollah. So if the leader leaves, for example, Hamas, the leaders were going to Qatar, living in penthouses, great life. Nobody really cared in Gaza. But because their ideology was more important than the tribe, their ideology of wiping out the Jews. The Houthis are very, very tribal. They are like 10th century, 9th century level of tribal. So if the leader leaves, the whole group will just fall apart completely. So Al-Houthi is not going to be able to leave. And also if he does, then he'll be assassinated by Mossad anyway. So he has to currently find some place to hide. Now let's just see how many days it will take for the Israelis to locate him. Now the operation by the Israeli Defense Forces in Gaza is also escalating. This is the mission Occupy Gaza. Essentially, they are accelerating the plan to fully occupy the Gaza Strip because you clearly can't continue to play whack-a-mole. The Israeli Defense Forces for the past year and a half have been playing whack-a-mole. They go to one corner, hit, withdraw, go to another corner. You have to fully take over, wipe out the terrorists, and actually can rebuild Gaza from scratch. This is what they did earlier today. Now, the idiocy and the evil of these so-called Palestinian families, you saw that kid just walking around as the bomb was being dropped, right? The stupidity, recklessness. You knew that the IDF are coming there. They gave you a warning well in advance. You should have evacuated. You didn't. Why? If those parents of that kid are doing this because they want to become martyrs, first things first, why is the kid still standing there? It's disgusting. This is the level of parenthood you get in Gaza. They don't actually care because they can use that as part of their propaganda. Oh, look, another kid. You should have moved. You should have never allowed your kid to be there. Be responsible, just like the Lebanese people. When the IDF gave warning every single time to people in Lebanon to evacuate an area because they were going to come and hit Hezbollah, people did. People left. That's why when it comes to collateral damage and the civilian casualties, the numbers in Lebanon is here, Gaza is up here. Also, you can't really believe the numbers coming from Gaza because all these men who get eliminated, when they are alive, they are seen as fighters. The moment they die, they all become civilians. Instantly. It's interesting that they can multitask. They instantly become civilians. Now, we have this statement from the IDF. A short while ago, the IDF carried out airstrikes using fighter jets and destroyed terror infrastructure belonging to the Houthi terror regime as the ports of Hodeidah and Salif in Yemen. These ports are used to transfer weapons and are yet another example of how the Houthi terror regime cynically exploits civilian infrastructure to promote terrorism. These strikes carried out in response to the aggression of the Houthi regime and follow last week's IDF strikes on the main airport in Sana'a, as well as the previous strikes on these same ports, all aimed at further degrading the Houthis' capabilities. The strikes were preceded by numerous warnings from the IDF to minimize harm to civilians in the vicinity of these sites, and efforts will continue to prevent any hostile activity from these ports. Over the past year and a half, the Houthi regime has acted aggressively, guided and funded by Iran, to target Israel and its allies to destabilize the region and disrupt global maritime freedom. In light of the Houthis' ongoing use of these ports for terrorism, the IDF reiterates its warning for all individuals in the area to evacuate and stay away. Clearly, that means that the operation is not over. The IDF will be going back, the Israeli Air Force will be going back to finish the job and, of course, hunt down the leader of the Houthis. Meanwhile, we can also confirm that yet another senior member of Hamas in Gaza, Atwa al-Amur, has been eliminated by the IDF earlier today. This man was actually in the Israeli prison before. He was released from Israeli prison in 2018 after serving only 11 years for terrorism. What is the point of all these soft sentences? 11 years. Then he was released. He went back to Gaza. He caused mayhem. Then the IDF had no other option but to eliminate him. That's the problem. You can see the difference between the two sides. So you have all this. I can see some of the anti-Semites are already in the live chat. We're going to get your reaction, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk about President Trump. He's sent out yet another extremely important warning to the Iranian regime, saying they have a proposal, as in the Americans have now given Iran a proposal. But more importantly, they know they have to move quickly or something bad is going to happen. So as far as we know, the American side have now sent an actual written proposal, which I'm guessing, based on what they've told us, is what they've said, which is you can't enrich uranium, right? That should be the first proposal. If they want to get a counter deal, fine. Now, the Iranian regime are dealing with it in a very interesting way. So the Islamic Republic are now accusing President Trump of lying. Now, guess why the Iranian regime are saying President Trump is lying? What do you think? What is he lying about? Yes, they are pretending that they haven't received the proposal. They are saying they haven't actually received the written proposals from the US on a nuclear deal. That the Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi denied the claims hours after President Trump posted that the proposal has been sent. Now, it's a very simple problem to be fixed. Check your spam folder. They had the same problem last time, about a couple of months ago, when the Americans were starting the negotiations. They sent the actual letter to the Iranian regime. The Islamic Republic said, well, we haven't received it. Check all the inboxes. You know you've received. They're lying. They're simply lying to just buy more time. They think they're doing mind games. First things first, it's not like the proposal was sent in the post by the British Royal Mail. It's not going to get lost. They're going to send it through the third parties, through Oman. They've already sent it to Iran. They have received it. They're just trying to play mind games. It's just stupid. It's all silly nonsense. They did the same thing 2 months ago. Why are they using the same tactic? Anyway, the disgusting part about what's going on in the world right now, even in the West, is the rhetoric coming from the Islamists in the so-called Palestinian movement. This woman is Salah Gaz. She was a pregnant Israeli woman, innocent civilian, pregnant, right? She was murdered last night in a brutal attack in Judea and Samaria. Now, all the Islamists and the leftists around the world, the life of an Israeli means nothing to them. But of course, to the IDF, it does. She died because of a terrorist attack by the so-called Palestinians in the so-called West Bank, Judea and Samaria. This is the statement we received from Hamas in response to this terrorist attack against a pregnant woman. Not an IDF soldier, not the Prime Minister of Israel. Just a civilian. This is what Hamas said. We bless the heroic shooting operation near the town of Brocken, the west of Salfit, carried out by our fierce people in the West Bank. We call upon our masses to rise up in defense of their sanctities, to confront aggression in the West Bank and its camps, and to support their people in steadfast Gaza. You have an organization that is openly praising an actual terrorist act. So the problem with this is that the media right now, the international media, all the usual lot, they're not going to talk about this. They're not going to read out this statement. If one Israeli, one Jew, or a non-Jew Israeli says one controversial thing, right? Not on behalf of the Israeli government, just on behalf of himself. Something very controversial. I don't know, wipe out all the Palestinians, something like that. There will be a whole documentary about that person and how that person represents all the Israelis. The BBC will do an investigation, everybody else. This is coming from the leadership of Hamas. They don't care. It goes against their narrative. It's vile. A pregnant woman died. Not a soldier, not a government minister. Direct targeting. Let's get some reaction from the live chat. So I can already see we have some internal trolls. And these are the friendly trolls in the live chat. So I need to give you some context because the first super chat is from Jenny. I'm going to have to read it because it's a super chat. When you give me a super chat, I'm going to have to read it. It says, baby. Now, I'm not going to get into this. All I can say is that on Fridays, we have this virtual pub on our chat forum. So in case you don't know, you can get more out of this channel by becoming a member of 2CTV Plus, by joining, by going directly on 2C.tv. That's our independent platform. When you join that, when you go on the website, you get access to obviously all the documentaries, but you also get access to our chat forum. It's a private Discord server. And we have on Fridays, we basically get together. It's basically like a video call. You don't have to show your face, it could be an audio thing, but we get together and just talk nonsense. Jenny and a few others, just before we went live, decided to start trolling. I'm not going to explain the baby thing because we got Jojo as well saying baby. We got more baby comments coming in. Dasmond says, those Houthis are just a bunch of crybabies. Next one is Ivan saying baby. Then the baby comments are over now. So we got super sticker from Lady Sarah. Thank you very much for a lovely super sticker. And Bamberger says, I miss Bun Bun. Would you consider a picture of him in the background? That would be nice. Yeah, for those who don't know, Bun Bun was the house bunny / political editor of 2CTV, who's no longer with us. He was taken out in the latest round of airstrikes by the Houthis. Allegedly. The Houthis are going to sue me. Dan Bang says, 2CTV paid by Zionists. I'm still waiting for my check from Mossad. The problem is not only they don't pay me. The thing is, the jokes and the attacks on the Jews is kind of not consistent. So on the one hand, they say, the anti-Semites, they say, Jews are paying everybody, right? Everybody's being paid. And then the other hand, they say, Jews are so stingy, they don't spend money. Like, how does that work? So do they spend money or do they refuse to spend money? Not only they haven't paid me, I had to spend thousands and thousands of pounds to go to Israel to make a documentary, considering it's a pro-Israel documentary. They should have given me some money, but actually there's no need for them. If I was a Zionist, why would they give me money when I'm automatically supporting Israel? You should give money to those who are not supporting Israel yet to turn them. See, it's just good business. Ivan says, join us in the pub. Hiccup. Yes, so after the live stream, I might go back on the chat forum, 2CTV Plus, 2C.tv, and I might go and get bullied again by the members of 2CTV Plus. Cheesecake says, hello, I just found this channel, watched a video made 2 days ago, and I'm very impressed. Subscribe. Well, thank you very much, Cheesecake. I don't know what flavor you are. I hope you're chocolate cheesecake. That's my favorite, surprisingly. The Zionists are not innocents. Why is there an S at the end? Innocence. What does that even mean? How does that work? Do you think all people from one place are the same suddenly? Like, you do realize in Israel, it's a multi-ethnic and multi-faith country. You literally have Muslims walking around with their headscarves. So are you claiming that those Muslims are also not innocent? They're probably going to say that, actually. This idiot is going to say, yeah, but they're Israeli, they're traitors. They're not real Muslim. Hey, 2C, I saw a video earlier that made a very good point. In any war, the army fights in uniform, or if they are mercenaries, they put their color bands around their arms. Doesn't seem like they do. Which ones? The Houthis or Hamas? Well, Hamas, at least they do something. They put the green nonsense on them, but not during the day. Not when they're being attacked by Israel. They just all become civilians suddenly. But they definitely don't wear actual uniforms. Vine Energy says, you think the USA will attack Iran before July? Well, I don't like to speculate because you always get embarrassed when you predict the wrong thing. But we will find out where we are in terms of where we're going to stand within the next few days, right? Because the Iranian regime have now received the proposal, probably not going to accept the first proposal. They're going to have a counter proposal, right? Unless President Trump has like sold that. And one issue is if they keep delaying it, I think the Americans are going to threaten Iran, but they're still not going to attack. They're just going to threaten and wait for some sort of resolution. The Iranian regime, the only way that the US could strike the nuclear sites or Israel is if the Iranian regime loudly says, no, we are walking away, we are not giving up our nuclear facilities. If it gets to that point, then actually it's the middle of May. By the end of July, you will have some sort of strike. Even if it's not the Americans, you're going to have Israel doing it. But I don't think at this point we're going to get to that point. I think there is going to be some sort of interim fake deal to just buy more time, because based on the red lines from both sides, it's almost impossible to see how you can actually have a real deal, a real nuclear deal. The Americans are saying don't enrich uranium unless they make compromises. The Iranian regime is saying we will enrich uranium, but like tiny bit. So the Americans' red line is a bigger red line than the Iranian regime, ironically. Then there's a whole point about the ballistic missile program. Now that is a weird one. Both sides have the ballistic missile program of Iran on the table. And as I've said previously, I believe that's just to use it for negotiations. So either the Americans will say, okay, we're going to allow you to have your ballistic missile program if you agree to not enrich uranium, or the other way around as well. The Iranian regime could say, fine, we will stop our ballistic missile program if you allow us to enrich uranium. So I think that the ballistic missile program, which is, by the way, it's an important issue, but it's kind of irrelevant to the point of the nuclear weapons. Now, for those who just see it from the outside, they're like, well, no, it's all the same thing, because these are all the things they're going to use to attack Israel and the West. Yeah, but these are two separate conversations. One is an imminent, deeper crisis, which is the nuclear weapons. And according to some so-called experts, Iran is already very close to have nuclear weapons, but we don't have any evidence. Somebody would have seen something. But having the ballistic missile program as part of the negotiation, I think it's just for both sides to use that in case they need it to give that away. We'll find out. But yes, I think by the end of July, you'll definitely find out whether there's going to be an attack or not. But it's not going to be anytime soon. Unless somehow the Iranians just walk away tomorrow, the next day, because we're waiting for their response. They're not going to do that. They're not going to walk away. They're just going to come back with a counter proposal, I think. That's what they should do. Stu says, if the stereotypes are real, stop saying free Palestine. The Jews will just want it more. That's the joke I always make. They kept saying free Palestine. So President Trump said, well, I'm going to take it then for free. And then they had a meltdown. Kib says, Maya, I need your help with the Discord chat. I am a member now for many months. I would love to chat soon. As always, you bring real news. Respect. How can I help you? What is the problem? Well, if you want to send an email straight after this live stream so I can check the inbox immediately, that would be good. If you need help with connecting to the Discord server or whatever, let me know what the issue is. Marek says, you want to know why mass immigration have problems? It's the number of people that apparently took it on paper is not reality. What? You want to know why mass immigration have problems? I think mass immigration is a problem, right? It's the number of people that apparently took it on paper is not reality. Am I drunk? I can't understand this. I don't know. Something crazy mass immigration. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing this is something I would agree with. I just don't know what. All right, we got this idiot back, the anti-Semite. Palestine is thousands of years old. Go and find out. Thousands, ladies and gentlemen, thousands. Not just 1,000, not even like 2,000, like the Persian Empire, the first organized empire in the world, the first civilization, right? No, not just a couple of thousand, thousands, right? All right, let's start this. Who wants to go with me? Number one, what was your flag in so-called Palestine? When was the flag created? Who was the first king of Palestine? Or who was the first queen of Palestine? Or who was the first any type of leader of Palestine? And when was it? Because you say thousands. Who was the king? Who was the ruler? Who was the president? And where was the border? You want to say thousands and thousands of years. That makes no sense. We know, based on documents, the Jews had their kingdom, the kingdom of Israel. You literally have the Star of David for a reason. Because of David, a house of David. Oh my God. Why am I bothering with this nonsense? Palestine never exists. It's never been a thing. It's just, stop trying to make it a thing. Nick says the dinosaurs were Palestinians. No. Based on what some random imam said in a random place in Birmingham, the dinosaurs were the original Muslims. Just like how they say Jesus was a Muslim, Moses was a Muslim, Abraham was a Muslim, Noah was a Muslim, Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were Muslim. Eve, in fact, used to walk around wearing a burqa. In case you didn't know. She was never naked. And the apple was actually halal. It was halal apple. They killed the apple in a halal way before she took a bite on it. So that is, I'm just teaching you history. She was walking around in a burqa, and Adam was just, doing his own things in his mosque and making, suicide vests. And then, Abel went crazy, and Cain was like, you know what? I don't want to be a suicide bomber. And Abel says, I'll do it. Then Cain went crazy and basically attacked him. It's all because of the real faith that they had in their mosque. And obviously Adam was the main imam. Tyson says, what news outlets do you get your news from, and how do you validate the information? We are the news outlets. This is 2CTV, your global news channel. Of course, we have sources and reporters across the whole world, and we always verify the stories by checking with at least 2, but most of the time 3 sources in each location to make sure everything goes well. So yeah, that's how we operate. We have people all over the world to give us the information, and obviously we have a small team here as well where we are based, and most of the time it's just me taking control of the whole ship, which is a bit of a chaotic ship. If you know how it works on 2CTV, we've been trying to launch our 2CTV app for a while. Actually, when I made the announcement about the 2CTV app, which is actually now coming next week, by the way. I know you don't believe me. I've been saying that for a long time. When I first announced that I think Noah was about 5 years old, and then Noah built the ark and everything else that happened. Then we started developing the actual app. It's been going on for a while, but it's coming home, ladies and gentlemen. Have faith. Anyway, what is this? Jay says, did you know China is funding the protesters in the West? Yes, it's been going on for about 10-15 years. And university societies as well. BSC Junkie says, talking snakes are haram. Well, it really depends. No, the snake from the Adam and Eve story, the snake was a Muslim too. So everybody was a Muslim. But it was a bad Muslim. It was a naughty Muslim. Cavemen were Palestinians. Well, that's likely because, they didn't shower. So, amazing. All right, what's going on here? Matt says, Thomas says that Islam is an ideology, not a religion. Well, obviously, who's Thomas? Whoever Thomas is very wise. Of course, an ideology. It's literally a book That's a political manifesto. Read the book. It's literally a manifesto of how to govern the world. It's a one world government political manifesto. And, how to have sex. Please explain to me the difference between Muslim and Islamist. Sorry for bad spelling. So you can be, you don't have to be a Muslim to be an Islamist. So for example, for those who are familiar with somebody like George Galloway, he's a so-called British politician. He's not a Muslim, but he's an Islamist. So you don't have to be a Muslim to be an Islamist. And there are people who are just born into Muslim families and they haven't actually read the book. They're like, well, I was told I'm a Muslim. They don't really practice it. They're just Muslim. But if you believe in it, if you meet someone, you just simply ask, have you read the book? Do you believe in it? Do you actually believe in everything that says? If they say yes, well, then that's someone who actually believes in Islam. That's someone who's actually an Islamist, which means they are a real Muslim. But you don't have to be a Muslim to be an Islamist. That's the difference. Whereas obviously you have to be a Muslim to be a Muslim. So that's slight differences. But yeah, man, at this point, if you see a Muslim who says, I believe in everything that my ideology says, then yeah, by default, that person, stay away. It's just not healthy. Tim says, these cowards cover their faces to protest and attack. Yeah, on the one hand, they always say, we are very looking forward to becoming martyrs. And then on the other hand, they just hide away, which is really weird. What is the... Kips is back saying, tell me, what is YouTube terms and conditions? It's a very long... There's a lot of words in the terms and conditions when you read it. Also, I didn't memorize it. So why should I know about the YouTube terms and conditions? That's not my job. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.